Sorry, was just writing something, making sure that was ready to go. Okay, so are the following lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? If you showed your work, that's fantastic. And so we would say here, for this one, the slope is 2. Here, the slope is -2. They're not the same, so they're clearly not parallel. And if we multiply 2 times -2, we get -4, which means, and this does not equal -1, so therefore this must be neither. Okay? For B, we have 3, and then we have this. This is not something nice we like to work with. We need to solve for our slope, so we're going to rearrange this one. So we're going to get 9y equals, removing the 3x and the -7 to the other side. That's going to give me -3x plus 7. Once we divide both sides by 9 and everything gets divided by 9, you should end up with y is equal to -1 over 3x plus 7 over 9. And the slopes here, we have the slope here is 3, and the slope here would be -1 over 3. If we multiply the two slopes together, you should end up with -1, which is perfect, because if the two slopes multiplying together are -1, it is perpendicular. Okay? And the last one here, we don't like these equations like this. When we're solving for the slope, we want it in slope y-intercept form. So we want to be able to solve for it. So multiplying this out and moving the -5 to the other side, we should get 3x plus 6 plus 5 equals 6y. That gives us 3x plus 11 equals 6y. And dividing everything by 6 will give us 1 over 2x plus 11 over 6 equals y. For the second one here, we just have to move the -3 to the other side. So 2x minus 4 plus 3 equals y. That gives us 2x minus 1 equals y. And looking at this, the slope here is 2, but the slope here is 1 over 2. Multiplying these together will give us 1, positive 1, which does not equal -1. So as a result, this should be neither as well. Okay? That should be neither as well. Lastly, it says here, give the equation, next one here, give the equation of a line that is parallel to and one line that is perpendicular to. So for parallel, all that has to be true is the slope has to be the same. So as long as you have the slope as -5x, like -5, you're good. You can write any number here. I could write like plus 1 million, and it could be any number, right? So it doesn't matter what number comes after. So I'll just do like plus 10 or something. As long as the slope was correct, right? The slope matches, that's what matters. For the perpendicular line, we want the flip of the fraction. So -5 should turn into -1 over 5, or you want to flip the fraction. So it would be 1 over -5, and then multiply it by -1. And so that's going to be just equal to positive 1 over 5. Okay? So you flip the fraction, and then you multiply it by -1. And that's going to give you your sign. So you should get a slope here of 1 over 5x, and then the number that comes after can be anything. It could be like -29 or something. Any number for your b value, as long as you have it flipped. Okay? We could check that by doing 1 over 5 times negative 5. And that's going to give us negative 1, which is what we want. Okay? Now for this one here, number 1, it says determine if the following lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. We're just going to blow through this real quick. Okay? So first one, parallel. Second one, perpendicular. Third one, neither. Fourth one, perpendicular. Fifth one, neither. Sixth one, parallel. And the last one should be perpendicular. Are there any questions about these? So if I number them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does anyone have a particular question or they want clarification as to these answers? Going once. Going twice. All right. So we're going to move on then. So that was your homework. You're supposed to hand that in. So I only see 4 people that have handed it in. Everyone else that hands it in from this point on, I will not be marking. Okay. Once again, you don't lose marks for not doing homework, but it does keep you on track and it just gives you a bonus boost if you do hand it in. So for the 4 people that handed it in, thank you very much. You will be getting your bonus mark. So number 2. It says the slope of a line and slope of a parallel line and slope of a perpendicular line. You're supposed to fill it in. So let's go down the list and let's not do the 4 people that handed it in. So the first person on my list from the bottom would be Sina. Sina, what's if the slope of a line is 4? So for number 1 here, the first one here, if the slope of a line is 4, what should the slope of the parallel line be?
-4?
No, parallel line.
Oh no.
Should just be 4. What about the perpendicular line?
Still, I don't know.
Let's do
-4.
that. So it should be 1 over, whoops. I'm just going to write out here 1 over -4. So the next person on that list would be Santiago. Santiago, what's the slope of a parallel line for number 2? Santiago, you there? Don't worry, you two will get your turn, Mercel Milana. Don't worry. Santiago, what's the slope of a parallel line? If the slope is of the first line is -3. Not 3. Should be -3. What about the perpendicular line? Close. Should be 1 over 3. Should not be negative. Yeah. Next one coming up, Mercel. Number 3. What's the slope of a parallel line?
7 out of 5.
7/5, good. And the slope of a perpendicular line?
I mean, you can't write it in fractions again, I'm guessing, so I don't know how to write that one.
You can write it in fractions.
7 out of 5. No, 1 out of -7 out of 5.
You would be right in saying 1 out of 7/5, but just flip the fraction. So just take this fraction and flip it.
Oh, 5 out of 7.
Yeah, so -5 out of 7. There you go. So that's what you're looking for. That's what I know. That's what you meant. So you're just flipping the fraction and then putting a negative if it's not there, and then if it's negative, you just change to a positive. Number 4 would be Milana. Good. The first slope of parallel line is -1, and for the perpendicular line, yeah, 1/1 or just 1. So in this case, this one's very straightforward. It's just 1, right? Next one after Milana would be James. Parallel line, slope of a parallel line. If the first line is 3/10, what's the slope of the parallel line?
3/10.
Perfect. And the slope of the perpendicular line?
I have no idea. Gotta think. Can't think.
Okay, so the slope of the perpendicular line, remember guys, that it's flipping the fraction and slapping a negative on it if it's not there.
Wait, -10/3?
There you go, -10/3.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
And then Kuzli just messaged me as well, -10/3. That's right, Kuzli. Very good. Very good. Okay, so then we have the slope of a line is 0. Next person would be Elia. What's the slope of a parallel line if the slope is 0? 0. Perfect. And what about the perpendicular line? Nope, not 0. This one's tricky. Elia got a hard one. Anyone want to help Elia out? It is a harder one. Undefined is correct. Undefined. So that's for number 6. And that means for 7, it would follow the same idea. It's undefined, and this one would be 0. And the reason for that is if we have an XY graph, a 0 slope is horizontal. And then an undefined slope is vertical. So straight up and down would give you a 90-degree angle. It's like drawing a compass, right? North, south, east, west. If we're drawing north, south, east, west, right? It's gonna make 90 degrees. So as a result, all vertical and horizontal lines are gonna make 90 degrees. So these are the two opposites of each other, right? 6 and 7. So that's why. And the other way mathematically, 0/1 flipped would be 1/0. But you can never divide by 0. Dividing by 0 is impossible. So as a result, it is undefined. 1 divided by 0 is undefined. You cannot divide by 0. If I tell you we have 8 slices of pizza and there's no one there to eat it, or there's 0 people there, how many slices does each person get? Well, there's 0 people. It could be infinite slices, right? You can't divide by 0. It doesn't make sense, right? So that's why we say undefined. So dividing by 0 is an impossible operation in math, and so thus we say undefined. Okay, let's go to question 3. So question 3a, write the line in the form y equals mx plus b. Question b, write the equations of the two lines that are parallel to that, and then two lines that are perpendicular to that. So first, let's make sure everyone can do 3a. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to change question 3a and do that. So change the standard form into slope-intercept form. Okay, so change standard form into slope-intercept form. So 2 minutes, go do that. Okay, you should be finishing off your work. Let's take this up. So, converting from standard form to slope y-intercept form, you want to make sure that y is alone. So we're taking the 4x and the plus 12 and we're moving it to the other side. So we're left with negative 6y equals negative 4x minus 12. From here, we want to make sure y is alone. So we have to get rid of the minus 6. We're going to divide everything by negative 6. In doing so, we're going to be left with something that looks like this. We can simplify these fractions, and your final answer should be 2 over 3x plus 2. Okay. Very good, Kuzli, you got it. So y equals 2 over 3x plus 2. This is what you want. From here, if I ask you, what is the slope and what is the y-intercept, you should be able to give it to me. What's the slope? Anyone, type it out quickly. Let's go. 2 over 3 and 2. Boom. Done. Right? Very good. Everyone's got it. So it's very quick, very easy. Once you get comfortable with being able to rearrange it, you're able to get the slope of a line and the y-intercept very, very quickly, right? You can quickly identify, oh, this is M. Oh, this is B, right? So now you guys are getting much faster and much better at it, which is great. All right, so question B and C basically use this. So it says, oh, write two equations of two lines that are parallel to this. Well, we know that the slope is 2 over 3 now, right? From the previous part, we know that the slope is 2 over 3. So we can write any two equations. We can say, oh, that's 2 over 3x. Let's do it this way. I could say plus a 4, or y equals 2 over 3x minus 100 or 10,972. Like, it doesn't matter as long as you're not using the same number for b, right? The slope has to be the same, right? So it could be any number for B, as long as the slope is the same, you've created a parallel line. And then for perpendicular, the slope has to be is 2 over 3. So the perpendicular slope, right, which is indicated like this, should be equal to negative 3 over 2. We flip the fraction and then we smack a negative on it. So negative 3 over 2 is our slope, so we can make two equations like this and have plus 3, or y is equal to negative 3 over 2x minus 1994. I don't know. Whatever the number might be, it could be anything, right? So the reason why it's negative, all perpendicular slopes, you flip the fraction and smack a negative on it. So if it was positive before, it becomes negative, and if the slope is negative, it becomes positive. Yeah, we're trying not to put the negative on the bottom number just so that we don't get confused with rise over run, because we always say run is positive. Yeah. So the run we want to keep positive because we're saying it's moving to the right, and that's just for our sake, right? To make sure that we don't get confused. Okay. Number 4. We're given slopes of two lines. Is it parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So first one here. Now we can, it's the 4, so I'm going to call out the 4 people that we didn't call out now. So Rowie, parallel, perpendicular, or neither? The first one. Perpendicular, absolutely. Okay. Second one, Suyang, perpendicular, parallel, or neither? Neither, that's correct. The negative is there, but the number is not flipped. Right, so here, the number is not flipped. The fraction is not flipped. So already it doesn't work. Right? It has to fit into the two categories. If it doesn't fit into the two categories, it's neither. Next one here, Gerald. We have our two slopes, 6 and 1 over 6. Is this perpendicular, parallel, or neither? Gerald says perpendicular. Ooh, not quite. This is neither as well. Okay, so the fraction is flipped. However, this one's positive, but this one is also positive. Remember, they have to be opposite signs. So it should have been negative 1 over 6, not 1 over 6. So close. So just want to be careful for that. Make sure the fraction is flipped and it's the opposite sign of what it was before. Okay. The last one here, Kuzli. Parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Kuzli's DMing me. He said, no, this is not parallel. This is perpendicular. Parallel is the easiest to identify, and the reason is because parallel is the same slope. These are definitely not the same slopes, right? So this is perpendicular. It's flipped, and you smack the negative on it, right? So it was positive before, it becomes negative. So, for example, guys, like if I give you a slope like this, or sorry, if I give you a slope like negative 3, the perpendicular slope would be positive 1 over 3 because you flip it and you get rid of the negative because the negative was there, right? Okay, so once that's done, we can move on. And this extra stuff was extra work as well. This is continuation for more homework, and it asking you which ones are parallel and stuff like that. I will take this up during our after school help session tomorrow. So try this on your own and we'll take it up tomorrow, right? Tomorrow at 3:30 if you want to know the answers. But try these ones on your own. So we're going to move on. And now we're going to be doing 3.3. So if you have not completed 3.3, please go print this out. Or if you haven't printed it, sorry, please go print this out and let's take it up. Once you have it printed out, type a G in the chat and then we'll keep going. Try your best to print. If it doesn't print, you are gonna have to write your notes physically or just copy them after when it's on YouTube or something. Kuzli, you're asking, are we gonna do 3.4 after we finish 3.3? Yeah. Well, my hope is we're gonna do 3.4 today. That's why I asked if you guys wanted to push through or slow it down. So we're gonna do all. We're not gonna take up the homework questions today because I want to do that tomorrow. So we're just doing all the lessons today, and then we're gonna do all of the problems tomorrow. Does that make sense? So all of the examples we're gonna go through today. We're waiting on 3 more people. Yeah. The one I'm gonna give us today. So I'm gonna give you some work today to complete. For tomorrow, and then we're gonna take all of that up and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to double check. So the people that didn't say ready, Cena, James,
Yes.
are you guys good to go? Do you have it ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Cena's good to go. James, are you ready? Santiago, are you ready? So James and Santiago, do you guys have this page prepared?
Sir, can you
Yeah.
explain what do you mean like for go?
What? I said, are you ready to do this? Do you have this page ready? Is my question. Santiago's good to go.
I don't have that
James,
page, but I'm writing in the piece of paper everything.
do you not have a printer?
No, I don't have.
Okay.
I'm not good to go.
You are or you are not?
I am not.
How long is it going to take, James?
You don't need to wait on me.
Well, kind of have to because you have to write the notes.
I need a minute.
Okay. Elia, do we have class tomorrow? We still have class tomorrow. Yeah. So tomorrow's class is also at 9 a.m. And then there is extra after school help tomorrow that I'll be running.
I'm good to go.
All right, let's get this started then. Okay. So, with 3.3, so we're going back to what we did in 3.1, which is finding equations of lines. Except this time we're looking at specific situations. So the two situations we're going to look at is what if I give you a slope and a point, and the second situation is what if I only give you 2 points? And I ask, give me the equation of the line. So we're going to look at both of these situations here. So this first one, let's review. If we are to graph linear equations, what do we do? Well, we first identify what is the slope, what is the y-intercept, and we write those down, right? We always write whatever you know, we write it down, making sure that we understand the information that we are given. Once we have that information written down, we can now graph it. So my y-intercept is 8. And then my slope is negative 3 over 2. So we're going to go down by 3 and right by 2. We get our next point. down by 3, right by 2. We get our next point, so on and so forth, right? So we can keep doing that until we reach 3 points total, and then we can graph our line. Or you can just kind of keep going and just draw your dots. So I'm just going to draw my dots. So there's my line. So that would be this one, right? So the red dots would be the correct line that you need to draw for the first part. The second part says determine the equation of the line already graphed for us. So this is something we've done already, but let's review. So this was 3.1. We pick any 2 points. We could pick like here and here, but let's make it easier. We're going to pick 2 close points. We're going to draw our 90-degree triangle here, and my hand is really shaky. Okay. And then we're going to do our rise over run. So we're going to solve for our slope here. Our run is 2, and our rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our rise is 5. Our run is 2. So there's our slope. Our y-intercept is right there. That's touching the y-axis at -7. So the y-intercept is -7. We can then plug it into our final equation, y equals mx plus b. So we should get y equals 5 over 2x minus 7. Are there any questions about this? So this is something we've done in 3.1. And of course, it will be on your test. But just reminding you that this is something you've done before. It shouldn't be overly complicated. Okay. Parallel lines, slopes are the same. And for perpendicular lines, the slopes are negative reciprocals. And if you want to write in brackets, slopes multiply to give -1. Okay, that's important. So if you ever have any doubts, you can multiply the two slopes and see, does it give you -1? All right. So what information do we need to form an equation of the line? Well, we need number 1, slope, and number 2, y-intercept. So these are the two things that we need to always write an equation of a line. There's no doubt about that. We need the slope, we need the y-intercept. And the thing is, you always have to remind yourself, like, if I don't have the slope, I need to get it. If I don't have the y-intercept, I need to get it. So you're always going to be asking yourself, do I have the slope? Do I have the y-intercept? That's the important part here. Okay, do I have the slope? Do I have the y-intercept? So when we go here, let's go over 2 different ways we can kind of solve this question. So if we don't have a graph or a table of values, what if we only know the slope and the point of the line? So let's figure out what we have here. It says, number 1, find the equation of the line with a slope of 1, and it goes through this point. And when it says that it goes through the point, that means that point is on the line. Okay? So what we know is that m is equal to 1, and the point on the line is -3, -6. The thing that we're missing is the y-intercept. We don't know the y-intercept. We don't have it. So whenever you don't have something, you should be able to solve it. So first, we know that the equation should be y equals mx plus b. And we're going to plug in our slope because we know it. So y equals 1x plus b, but we know 1x is just y equals x plus b. What we do from here is that we're going to substitute -3, -6. And the reason why we can do that is because that point is on the line. If that point is on the line, it exists and it works for our equation. So plugging this in, we should get y is negative 6 equals x, which is negative 3, plus b. Okay? Then we can solve for b. So solving for b, we move the minus 3 to the other side. We're going to get negative 6 plus 3 equals b, and that's going to give me negative 3 equals b. That's what we wanted. So we want the y-intercept. And then once we have that, we can write our final equation of the line, which would give us y equals x minus 3. And we're done. Okay? So whenever you're missing a piece of information, your goal is always, what can I do to find that piece of information? I'm missing the y-intercept. Can I get it? If I'm missing the slope, can I get it? That's what you want. Okay? So we're going to move on. But now I'm going to list out these steps for you just a little bit. So this is to help process it. If you want to write these down or write like for reference, feel free. So I've written down the steps instead so that it's a little easier to follow for some of you. So number 2, find the equation of the line that has a slope of negative 5 and passes through 4, 2. Okay, so the slope is negative 5 and it has to pass through 4, 2. Okay, so if we're doing this, first we substitute m into mx plus b. So m equals negative 5. We're going to plug it into here. And so we're going to get y is equal to negative 5x plus b. So we start with that. Step 2, we're going to substitute our point. Our point is 4, 2. So in other words, we're going to plug that in, and we're going to plug that into our equation here. So we're going to plug that into y equals negative 5x plus b. Our y is 2, and our x is 4. And there we have it. Then we're going to solve for b, step 3. So we copy down that equation. And now we can solve for b. We multiply out the bracket first, negative 20. And then we move the minus 20 to the other side. We take this and we move it here. And so we're going to get 2 plus 20 equals b. And so our final answer is going to be 22 equals b. Okay, so we get 22 equals b. And now we substitute it in. So we said m is equal to negative 5, b is equal to 22. So our final equation is y is equal to negative 5x plus 22. And there would be our final answer. So I'm gonna zoom this out here. Please try giving this a shot. Right? Once you're done copying, please give number 3 a shot on your own. I'm going to leave this on the page. So number 3 is just down here. You have a lot of space to work with. So try number 3 on your own. I'll give you 5 minutes and then we'll take it up. So we're going to take it up at 10 o'clock exactly. Let me see if I can put a timer. Let's do 5 minutes. Oopsies. So you have the timer on the screen and we'll see you back. Last 30 seconds. All right, time's up. Let's take it up. So you should have finished number 3. So let's keep going here. So number 3, it says the slope is -3/4. So the slope is -3/4. So we plug that into our formula first. I should zoom in because I'm writing way too big. So plugging it in, I should get -3/4x plus b. And it says it's passing through the origin, so we're going to sub in 0, 0. Because the origin is 0, 0. Plugging that in, we're going to get 0 is equal to -3/4 times 0 plus b. And in doing so, we get 0 equals b. Okay, so our final equation is just -3/4x. And if you were fast enough to realize the origin being 0, 0 is a y-intercept and an x-intercept. So this is technically already telling you that b equals 0. I just showed you in case you didn't realize, maybe you didn't notice that the origin was 0, 0. You plug it in and you should get 0 equals b. So as a result, that's right. So as a result, you should get this as your final equation, right? So that's what we always have to remember. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. Question 4. Determine the equation of a line that has the same slope as y equals 5x minus 2 and passes through this point. So notice how this time I don't give you the slope, but I tell you some key information here, but it has the same slope as this line. So looking at this line here, the slope is 5. So I'm teaching you, right? I'm showing you that the slope is 5. Can you identify that yourself? And then can we solve it using our steps, right? Now this word here, same slope, maybe I don't use the word same slope. What if I said parallel? What if I said perpendicular? Right? And now it gets a little bit trickier, but it's the same thing. I'm testing you on, can you identify the same, like the slope using another line? Right? If I say it's parallel, oh, that means same slope. If I say it's perpendicular, oh, I need to flip it and smack a negative on it, right? That's what you're looking for, and that's what I'm looking for as a teacher. Can you identify those key pieces of information to figure out the slope of the line you're trying to solve for? So for here, it tells us that the slope is the same. We can see that it's in y equals mx plus b form. The slope is 5. We plug that slope in, so we know already our equation is going to be 5x plus b. Remember, this is the line of our second line. We are not using this one. The only thing we used this first line for was the slope, and that's it. We need to solve for b. And it says it passes through -5, 9. So we're going to sub that into our equation. We're going to get 9 is equal to 5 times -5 plus b. In doing so, 5 times -5 is -25 plus b. And moving the -25 to the other side, I get 9 plus 25. And 9 plus 25 gives me 34 equals b. So my final equation you should end up with is y is equal to 5x plus 34. Okay? This is what you should be getting at the end. Are there any questions on this process? Going once. Going twice. All right, we're going to end it there. So, with this section here, you'll notice we have practice and homework. And you have a whole bunch of questions. You have 6 questions for you to do. And we're going to be taking these questions up tomorrow. So now you have 2 pieces of homework, right? You have the 3.2 last page. You have 3.3. And now we move on to 3.4. Go get this prepared too if you haven't already. 3.4, let's go. 5 minutes. Okay. You guys should have this ready here. Does anyone not have this ready? Okay, we're gonna keep going. So here, now we're looking at a different situation where we're given an equation. We need to find the equation of the line, but we're only given 2 points. So let's talk about this. When asked to write the equation of a line, we know that we need to fill in the slope and the y-intercept. Previously, we were given a slope and a point. To find the equation, we substitute the slope for m in the general equation y equals mx plus b, and substitute the given point xy in the equation from step 1 and solve for b. Right? So we literally just talked about this concept, and we're just kind of now saying, hey, now let's look at another situation where, hey, you're not always going to be given that slope, right? You're not always going to be given that slope. That's the fact of the matter. So what now? Let's look at situations where we're given only 2 points with no slope. So number 1, determine the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. So let's look at the steps that we have to go through here. Step 1, use the slope formula to solve for the slope. Okay, that's all right. I'm glad you're back. So you have your 2 points here. So our first point, 412, or negative 412, sorry. So x1 is negative 4, y1 is 12. The second point is negative 1, 6. X2 is negative 1, y2 is 6. We can then plug this into my slope formula. So we can say m is equal to 6 minus 12 over negative 1 minus negative 4. In doing so, 6 minus 12 is negative 6. Negative 1 minus negative 4 is positive 3. And so we're going to simplify that, and we're going to get m is equal to negative 2. Okay? Once we get m is equal to negative 2, we're done our first step. Okay? So the first most important step is solving for your m value here, right? Your slope. Remember, the biggest questions you should be asking yourself is, number 1, do I have the slope and y-intercept? Number 2, if not, what can I do to solve for it? You want to solve for your slope and y-intercept. So in this case, you don't have either of them, so you better find them. That's what we're going through. So step 1, we find the slope. Step 2, we're going to substitute that as well as one of the 2 points into y equals mx plus b. So we're going to sub in m equals negative 2, and let's sub in one of these 2 points. We'll work with the smaller numbers, so negative 1, 6. It doesn't matter which point you plug in. You just have to pick one of them. So once we have that, we can plug it into my equation. So that's negative 1 is equal to negative 2 bracket negative 1. Sorry, that's wrong. 6 equals negative 2 bracket negative 1 plus b. Okay? So for those a little confused, let me put the inner part. So you can first sub in the negative 2 first as the slope, and then you can plug that into here, and then plug in the point. Okay? So maybe let me rewrite it a little bit clearer for everyone. Let's do this. So we'll do sub m equals negative 2, and then sub negative 1, 6. Maybe that's a little more clear. Okay? So 2 substitutions. Then once you have that, we can solve for b. So we have our equation, negative 2 times negative 1 plus b. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And then we can move the 2 to the other side. 6 minus 2 equals b. And we get 4. And then we can write our final equation. We know our slope is negative 2. We know our b now is 4. And so my final equation is negative 2x plus 4. Okay, so I'm going to zoom that out for you guys to copy. And this is our process that we're going to be doing for this lesson. All right, so we're going to move on now. Question 2, 3, 4, and then we're done for today. Right? And you have lots of homework. So question 2, 3, 4. Question 2 here, find the equation of the line that passes through 1, 5, and negative 4, negative 10. So same thing. We're going to go through each one step by step and solve for it. So n is equal to, first point, 1, 5. We say x1 is 1, y1 is 5. For the second one, negative 4, negative 10. X2 is negative 4, and y2 is negative 10. Once we have that down, we can now solve for my slope. So slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Maybe I can go a little bit thinner because we're so zoomed in. And that's going to be equal to y2, which is negative 10, minus y1, which is 5, divided by x2, which is negative 4, and x1, which is 1. Solving that out, negative 10 minus 5 is going to give me negative 15. Divided by negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. And so our final thing here, if once we get here, we can say m is equal to negative 15 divided by negative 5 is going to give me positive 3. So there's our first part here. Then we're going to sub that into our equation. That's going to give us y is equal to 3x plus b. Then we're going to sub in one of the points. So it doesn't matter which one you sub in. I'm going to sub in 1, 5. Try to work with smaller numbers. And that's going to give me 5 is equal to 3 times 1 plus b. Once again, it doesn't matter which one you plug in. You should still get the same answer. Then 5 is equal to 3 plus b. And we move the 3 to the other side. 5 minus 3 equals b. 5 minus 3 is 2. And we get 2 equals b. Once we have these two equations, we can write down our final answer, which is y is equal to 3x plus 2. And there's our answer for question 2. So once again, going through and solving this, you have your 2 points. We identify x1, y1, x2, y2. We plug it into the slope formula to solve for my slope. Then we plug in the slope into our general y slope y-intercept equation. We substitute a point, any one of the 2 points, and then we solve for the y-intercept, or we solve for b. Once we solve for b, we now have the slope and y-intercept, we can create our equation. Okay? So, question 3, I would like you to try on your own one more time. I'm going to give you a 5-minute timer again. So I'm going to give you another 5-minute timer, and we're going to take it up in 5 minutes. So question 3, please try it on your own. We'll take it up. All right, you should be done question 3 by now. Let's take it up. Question 3. We have our 2 points. So we write our point down. We write down x1 is -4, y1 is -3. And we write our second point. x2 is -7. And y2 is -1. Once we have that down, we can plug it into our slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is -1 minus y1, -3. x2 is -7 minus x1, which is -4. Solving that out, -1 minus -3 is going to give me +2. -7 minus -4 is going to give me -3. And so my final slope is just -2 over 3. So now we're working with a fraction slope. Scary. But it doesn't change anything. The process is still the same, just solving it is just going to get a little bit more complicated. So we have our current equation, y equals -2 over 3x plus b. And we're going to plug in here. Oh, sorry. We're going to substitute in one of our points. Sure. So let's substitute in, for example, the -7 and -1. If we substitute that in, I'm going to get -1 is equal to -2 over 3 times -7 plus b. If we remember our fraction rules, right? Numerator multiplies with numerator, we're going to get -1 is equal to 14, +14 over 3 plus b. We move the 14 over 3 to the other side because it's a number. So we're going to subtract 14 over 3 here. And for those that aren't sure, right, we're moving this to the other side. So that's going to give me this. Subtracting fractions wise, we need a common denominator. So we're going to change the -1 to -3 over 3. In doing so, we can write down our final equation, which is -17 over 3 equals b. We can now write our final equation here, which you should have gotten. Y is equal to -2 over 3x minus 17 over 3. If you did not get this because you got stuck at the fractions, it's not always going to be whole numbers, right? You're going to get fractions, and you better be prepared to face fractions, right? So fractions are going to happen. In your practice questions, there will be fractions. So please keep that in mind. Are there any questions about this? Any questions about question 3? Okay. Last question, and then we have our summary here. So question 4, find the equation of the line where the x-intercept is 5 and the y-intercept is -2. So when it says the x-intercept is 5, we should already know that's telling us that the first point is 5, 0. x1 equals 5, y1 equals 0. And we know that because for x-intercepts, the y value is 0. For the y-intercept, it's -2, it's 0, -2. And x2 equals 0, and y2 equals -2. This is the information given from our question. Not only that, this also tells us that b is equal to -2, right? This tells us this. We don't even have to solve for b anymore. The only thing we have to solve for is our slope, right? This saves us a lot of time. It told us the y-intercept. You should be connecting, oh, y-intercept is b. That's my b value. Boom, connection. Then we can solve it and plug it into our slope formula. So plugging it into my slope formula, y2 is -2, y1 is 0, x2 is 0, and x1 is 5. Plugging it in, I get -2 over -5, which simplifies to 2 over 5. We can then take these two and plug it into my equation. Y is equal to 2 over 5 x minus 2, and you're done. So this question is actually a lot shorter than you would expect. But the main thing you have to realize is that when it tells us that the x-intercept is 5, can you get this? Right? Can you identify the coordinates of your x and y intercepts? Not difficult, but if you forget about it, you forget about it. Okay? Any questions on this one? Okay, no other questions. Let's do our summary and then we're going to end our class today. Of course, announcements, all that kind of stuff after this. So summary. Given 2 points on a line, an equation can be determined by these 3 things. Calculate the slope using the 2 points. Use one of the points, sub in the equation, and solve for y-intercept, which is our b value. Then write the equation of the line in y equals mx plus b. Okay, so there's our summary. I'll leave that for you.